Hey guys, welcome back to the Academy Economic News Network. I am Amy Cordova. We're happy to announce this week's topic is the Silicon Valley shift. We will be talking about the impact of AI, the automation of knowledge workers, plus the future labor force in Silicon Valley. Well, how much do you guys actually know about this topic? Most likely nothing. So our core question we are going to be investigating is how is the rise of AI and automation affecting wages, employment, and productivity among knowledge workers in Silicon Valley? We're going to be investigating this question with the help of a few people, which will be Valentina Martinez, Abril Bautista, Misael Angulo, and Tani Dami. To start off, let's discuss the topic with Valentina Martinez, who will teach us more. Hey Valentina, thank you so much for your time on this lovely afternoon to help the public learn more about the Silicon Valley shift. So 2 questions I would love to get started with is which type of jobs are most vulnerable to AI automation and which would be the least? And then I would also like to know what research says about which skills will remain valuable.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. I would love to answer those questions. Let's start off with some basics. First, we'll be talking about technological unemployment. So what exactly is it? Technological unemployment occurs when developments in technology and working practices cause some workers to lose their jobs. For example, when machines are introduced as labor-saving machines, a company can get rid of workers. As a result, workers will lose their job and may take time to find a new one. Advances in technology and machinery means that manufactured goods can be produced with fewer workers, which in return increases productivity. Profit motive is what brings these individuals to businesses to make these decisions and predict that investing in AI will bring financial gain. Many companies want this productivity. They want to aim big in both productivity and creativity, which is why, according to Fujitsu, companies have begun to transform themselves into AI-first or AI-native organizations. They have begun to redesign themselves around AI. Earlier this month, in March, Block CEO Jack Dorsey announced they had eliminated 4,000 jobs, this being around 40% of the company's global workforce, due to the, quote, growing capabilities of AI tools to perform a wider range of tasks. The Challenger Gray and Christmas Challenger report says that more than 60,000 tech jobs have been cut off. These cutoffs have been by several companies such as Oracle, Amazon, Meta, Dell, and more. These cuts are driven by AI integration, post-earning restructuring, and a shift towards operational efficiency. This is just in the first quarter of 2026 alone. Across the companies that have had layoffs attributed to AI, a clear pattern has been shown. Companies begin investing in AI infrastructure and tooling for around 12 to 18 months. Second, the company's leadership conducts an assessment of which roles can either be fully or partially automated. Next, the layoffs are announced with clear AI attribution. Lastly, companies frame the cuts as competitive necessity rather than a cost-cutting exercise. While some research at McKinsey Global Institute estimate that AI could automate around 30% of work activities globally by the year 2030, some larger economists have argued that historical technological transitions created more jobs than destroyed. Economists from the Washington Post have also argued that there is no evidence that AI is putting Americans as a whole out of work, but if it were to happen, those with white-collar jobs would be the first to get their jobs taken. Research led by Sam Manning and his colleague Thomas Aguirre, according to the Washington Post, estimated how many job-related tasks a worker could do with the help of AI. With those estimates, they found skills used in computer programs such as marketing, financial analysis, and customer service highly overlap with AI. This means that in theory, workers with those jobs might be more easily replaced with AI. There are many debates as to whether this is actually a good thing or a bad thing for workers. The findings, in summary, is that the majority of workers who are laid off and whose job may be lost can get their job back, while other workers may have harder times finding jobs. This is based on their experience and their education. You might recognize this as automation wage polarization, where technological advancements, automation, replaces middle-skilled jobs, causing employment to be divided into high-wage jobs, cognitive jobs that require complex decision-making that AI cannot do, and low-wage jobs, which are manual jobs that are repetitive, task-based work that AI can perform faster and at a lower cost. Lastly, I will be talking about the jobs most vulnerable to AI automation. According to Tech Insider, quality assurance and testing positions have become quite vulnerable to AI, as AI tools have reduced the need for manual testing by around 60%. Project/program managers and those with coordination and reporting as a primary function are also vulnerable, as AI can do status reports, resource allocation, and other tasks, all reducing the need for human coordinators. On the other hand, some positions are growing. Companies are now hiring for new positions like AI engineers, prompt engineers, AI safety researchers, and data infrastructure architects. Skills-wise, Fujitsu says it's not about skill renewal being an option, but rather a prerequisite for maintaining competitiveness against AI. However, there are some jobs that AI cannot replace. Critical thinking, problem solving, and most importantly, human judgment are human skills that are extremely important and cannot be replaced or used by AI. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for having me. Goodbye, everyone. Back to you, Amy.
Okay, thank you so much, Valentina Martinez, for your time. As artificial intelligence continues to reshape the workforce, concerns about job losses are growing. Abril Bautista joins us now with a closer look. Good afternoon, Abril. How are you doing?
Hello, Amy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We wanted to explore more in detail about the Silicon Valley shift. How is it different from other times, and what can history teach us about this AI-driven displacement?
Of course, as you mentioned, AI is transforming the workforce, and for many workers, that change is happening faster than expected. Questions are being raised about what comes next. We can first look at the concept of creative destruction, most famously developed by Joseph Schumpeter, referring to the process where innovation deconstructs long-standing economic structures while creating new ones. Out with the old, in with the new. This means that new ideas emerge, making existing ones obsolete. This leads to economic growth and improved productivity, new companies rising and reshaping the market. However, it can lead to temporary job losses. This concept has been seen before, for example, in the fall of Blockbuster. The new idea, streaming, had killed rental stores, wiping out thousands of jobs, and now it is being shown in the Silicon Valley shift. This is creative destruction happening in real time. But how is AI-driven displacement, the job losses caused by AI, different from previous ways of automation? Let's compare AI to the past, such as the Industrial Revolution. Here, new machines replaced physical labor that powered factories. Because of this, new industries emerged over decades, but workers eventually adapted. Comparing this to today's shift, however, we can see that it is affecting mostly cognitive and technological work. According to a March 2026 report from SiliconANGLE, companies in Silicon Valley are laying off workers and replacing them with AI tools, representing a trade-off, the exchange of one benefit or advantage for another that is thought to be better. Companies gain efficiency and lower costs, but unfortunately workers lose jobs. According to Reuters, the Federal Reserve's economic leaders are acknowledging that AI is causing big changes in the labor market, where concerns lie in unemployment happening quicker than new jobs appearing. This shows us how fast today's shifts are happening. Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports that AI is threatening specific types of jobs more than others, along with reports from USA Today highlighting that office and administrative support jobs, customer service, and clerical work are among the most exposed to AI automation. As stated before, the jobs less affected are those with hands-on roles, like physical labor and trades. Let's look at a chart from Challenger Gray and Christmas, which provides us a report and a visual on reasons for job cuts, released on April 2nd of this year. This visual breaks down layoffs into categories, not just AI. We can see that there is also closing, restructuring, and many economic conditions. AI, however, in March, leads all categories with 15,341 job cuts. It accounts for a quarter of total layoffs. As you can see in the bottom, the total is over 60,000. This shows us that AI and automation are becoming a key factor to workforce changes. The graph highlights how quickly technology is influencing employment decisions today. TechBuzz AI reports that while some companies are investing heavily in AI, the smaller businesses and workers are being left behind, creating incentives.
So could you tell us more about incentives?
Yes, so they are basically something that motivates a person to take a particular course of action. They drive behavior and can be a reward or a penalty. These trends are creating those incentives for workers to learn new skills, things that AI would not be able to replace as easily or at all. Unlike the Industrial Revolution, which looking back at it unfolded over decades, this is happening at a rapid pace. History shows that past technology shifts eventually create new work, illustrating that topic earlier discussed, creative destruction. But the benefits and challenges are not the same. Shareholders and consumers may gain from that higher productivity and innovation. But the displaced workers are going to have to navigate a fast-changing market. So this is different from past automation, going beyond that line. In the past, it affected mainly repetitive jobs and factory work. So what does history teach us about this? Businesses often adopt new technologies faster than society can adapt to them. We've seen this before in earlier industrial changes. Companies often adopt machines and new technologies to boost productivity, but workers and institutions typically take longer to adjust. A similar pattern is happening today with AI. Recent reporting from Reuters shows companies are already cutting jobs, reducing staff, and restructuring. even as policymakers are still trying to grasp and understand the full economic impact. Meanwhile, Forbes notes growing concern among experts that these rapid cuts could potentially backfire, leading to hiring shortages in the future. So if history tells us anything, it's that the biggest challenge isn't just technology itself, but the gap between how fast businesses change and how slowly the rest of society can keep up. Unlike previous waves of automation and past technological innovations, AI is threatening a wider range of jobs, making it inherently a new kind of economic disruption. Thank you for your time, Amy. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you for your time, Gabriel. This gives us a new perspective. It is not just about technology. It's about how quickly everything around it could keep up. Let's move on and discuss another broad topic with Tani Dami.
Hi everybody, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here.
Yes, of course. It's wonderful to have many people talk about different topics that connect to one another. Let's get started off with the question, what economic policies should be considered and implemented to help workers displaced by AI?
First, let's look at retraining programs, a common way to combat economic shifts and a likely approach to structural unemployment. But what is structural unemployment in the first place? To make it simple, it's when workers' existing skill sets no longer match the needs of the labor market. Addressing this matter requires policies that help people transition into new roles instead of waiting around for an opening. This is why, as AI develops rapidly, investment in retraining programs is necessary, and preparing resources to help displaced workers gain in-demand skills is as well. However, retraining programs come with high costs. They require a large chunk of government funding, and their effectiveness varies from case to case. It may be that not all workers can transition into new roles, especially depending on factors such as old age, lack of childcare, and time constraints. Additionally, it is likely that there will be a time lag between getting into a retraining program and employment, meaning workers may still face financial hardship. Another policy that may help workers adjust is universal basic income, which provides a guaranteed cash payment to all people regardless of employment status. In a society where adaptation to automation is unavoidable, a universal basic income can act as a safety net to allow workers to meet basic needs while they search for jobs, go through retraining or reskilling programs, and more. This promotes financial security and flexibility, and is also a way to eventually reach economic equity, which ensures fair and just distribution of resources and opportunities. Now, for a policy that targets the source of these displacements directly. Robot taxes, where companies that heavily automate production pay taxes that can be used as funding for workers. The true point of this policy is to slow the pace of displacement and generate revenue that can provide retraining programs or income support. But there is a downside that these taxes could instead discourage tech companies from innovation and reduce overall economic growth. Each of these policies, retraining programs, UBI, and robot taxes, gives us potential solutions to the problem of AI-driven displacements, but each comes with its trade-offs. A combination of each of these policies is much more likely to help workers adapt rather than any single one. The main point is not just to replace lost jobs, but to ensure that workers can easily adapt in a society where technological change is constant. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time, Tani Dami. And lastly, we will be learning about who benefits most from AI productivity gains, which could be shareholders, consumers, or workers, which will be discussed by Marcel.
Hello everybody. So yes, as we have seen, artificial intelligence is rapidly changing Silicon Valley and the global economy.
by increasing productivity in many ways, like giving companies the opportunity to produce more with less inputs. But this raises an important question. Who actually benefits from these gains? Could it be consumers, shareholders, or workers? Well, based on the recent data from the past weeks, we have seen that who most benefits are shareholders. Why? Because workers are facing challenges like wage reductions and unemployment. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, corporate profiles are rising, making up about 16% of the U.S. economy, while workers' wages make up about 62%. This shows us a change in market equilibrium, that the market price for labor is not increasing as fast as the productivity. Well, what is market equilibrium? It is the point where a quantity of a product is demanded by consumers and in a market is equaled by the quantity supplied by the producers. The reason that the market price for labor is not increasing as fast as productivity is because AI has increased productivity by over 10%, making companies reduce jobs for workers because they are now producing more with less workers. Of course, companies want lower cost and increased profits, and that is exactly what AI helps them to do. For workers, AI can cause structural unemployment. As a result of this, jobs disappear. And because of this, the labor force rate may go down, since some people can't find jobs and stop looking. To keep up, people need to keep up with their human capital, to learn skills for jobs that AI cannot replace. Consumers do benefit from AI through faster services like online shopping and sometimes even lower market price, which helps markets move towards equilibrium. But you may be asking, what is a market price? It is a price a consumer is willing to pay a producer for either a good or a service. However, these benefits are because of an AI productivity paradox, which is when AI technology improves, but the overall productivity doesn't increase as much as expected. And sometimes, even though companies invest a lot into AI, the benefits take a long time to show up for consumers. Overall, the economy is becoming more and more unequal. Shareholders benefit the most from the use of AI, while workers struggle. Now, how can we stop this? Well, one possible solution is the universal basic income. The universal basic income is a government program where every citizen is given an amount of money no matter what. Of course, as long as they are citizens. This could help balance out the jobs AI is taking that do not allow people to pay for things. Now, our time is limited, so let's go over everything we covered. Yes, we have seen an increase in productivity. However, most of the benefits go to shareholders because of incentives to maximize profits, while workers face problems like structural unemployment and wage reductions. In less words, while AI increases productivity, the benefits are not shared equally amongst all. Now, back to you, Amy.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Marcel. So now that we learned about the Silicon Valley shift and the impact on AI and automation on different workers and the labor force, we can now discuss about how this issue connects across different economic sectors, who benefits, who loses, and what should be done about this. Now, Tani, what exactly does artificial intelligence affect? In addition to technology, does it affect our government or our labor markets? Does AI affect the consumers?
You've seen the way it affects technology. It is a driving technological unemployment and contributing to wage polarization. There have been thousands of layoffs due to jobs being replaced by AI. As Valentina talked about earlier, some jobs are more vulnerable to AI automation, like project managers or testing positions, whereas other jobs have been on the rise because of the increased use of AI. These jobs include AI engineers and prompt engineers.
Yes, in the labor market, there have been concerns with unemployment happening a lot quicker than new jobs seem to be appearing.
Unemployment is when someone is actively and willing looking for a job but can't find one, correct?
Yes, that's correct. As I was saying, with too many unemployed workers and too little job opportunities, the displaced workers are forced to navigate the fast-changing market with boosting productivity in mind. Labor markets are influenced by AI to fill in the gaps within the job market.
Labor changes create changes not only in producers but consumers as well. The lower paid workers or those unemployed reduce their spending and decrease demand for goods and services. However, businesses benefit from these lower labor costs. Like Marcel explained, this shifts market equilibrium, allowing firms to do more with fewer workers and increasing profits.
AI obviously affects a lot of things, ranging from the government to education. So who benefits from AI? Or who is losing from AI?
I could answer that. As stated in my segment, shareholders benefit the most from these gains because workers are facing challenges every day, such as their wages reducing and losing their jobs. Those losing with AI would be workers, as AI has been increasing productivity by over 10%. Companies have been reducing jobs for workers as they are now producing more with less workers.
Unfortunately, the workers lose in this situation.
That's so unfortunate. So what can be done? Can a policy be put in place? Have any regulations or policies been passed against AI or its limitations?
Our policy recommendation starts with investing in retraining programs that will allow workers to adapt and help reduce that structural unemployment, that mismatch between the skills workers have and the skills needed for those jobs that are available. We can teach workers how to use AI tools to stay relevant. Workers now need new analytical and digital skills to stay competitive, and governments should be able to provide that, giving low-cost training and partnering with tech companies. Allowing this to happen will reduce unemployment and prevent wage declines. Workers will be able to succeed in this economy that is now being changed by AI and automation. Now, we have looked at other solutions, but they have many possible disadvantages. For example, a universal base income. That free money given to everyone regularly is very expensive for governments. It could even lead to higher taxes. Unfortunately, while it can help people afford basic necessities and reduce financial stress, it will not solve that underlying problem of job displacement. Retraining programs focus on helping people re-enter the workforce, and that will provide people a more sustainable solution.
That's awesome that workers can still succeed in the economy based on all these changes with AI. There's always a con to something, but your idea is very well thought. Thank you guys for sticking till the end and learning with us about this week's topic, the Silicon Valley Shift. We hope you learned about something interesting and see you all next time. Bye!